Welcome. Glad to see you all. I brought a different instrument today. I'm going to play it on a couple of songs. This is a 1964 Hofner Galaxy, which I bought at a used guitar store in Seattle back in the late 80s or early 90s for a couple $150. $250 it cost me. And it never did work completely. The old pickguard had something like 20 controls on it. You could get 150 sounds out of the thing, but one of the pickups didn't work, and there was only one sound that I actually liked. And so for years I've been dreaming of replacing the treble pickup and making a custom control layout that suits my requirements. And I did it. I went and got 5 pieces of veneer, some walnut and some maple, and glued that together to make my own custom plywood, and then sawed it out with a coping saw, planned the controls, and bought the parts in line, and redid it in my own image. I redid the guitar for what I wanted it to sound like. Yeah, great. So yeah, now it sounds like I want it to, and functions like I want it to, and reliably, and it feels good to play it. The first song I'm going to play today is a really important song for me. It was a musical transition. There were some things that I discovered in writing and recording this song that have stuck with me ever since. And there's also so there's quite a bit of musical stuff. Plus the event that led to it was one of the most extraordinary things that ever happened to me. Musically, sometime in the early '80s, I started playing around really extensively with this move, which is I talked about it last week. It's a famous and super common blues and rock and roll figure of moving this one note up 2 frets, and when you go back and forth between those two, it creates a very open harmonic space that lots of different melodies can fit into. It's super versatile. And around the time I wrote this song, I started playing with that. Normally, that chord, that movement, it's hard to even call it a chord, is used on the main blues chords, the 1, the 4, and the 5. So it's like. And I started exploring to see if there were other notes that it would fit with, and I found that most of the notes of the scale benefited from having that chord. So I would have. And I kept on doing that and working with it, and I got a whole composition using those movements. And then several years later, I just had that in the bag for 4 or 5 years. And then I was doing a communication drill with somebody I barely knew. Her name was Lisa. In this particular exercise, the two of us were sitting about 3 feet apart, facing each other, and looking directly into each other's eyes. And the idea of this exercise was to make eye contact for hours at a time. It was grueling, and interesting things happened while it was going on. But what happened in this particular time never happened before or after this, was that we had a mutual out-of-body experience. It looked to me as though her eyes got really giant, which makes it into another song a little bit later today. But anyway, her eyes got huge, and my consciousness exited my head and took place in the space. I felt like I existed in the space between us, and that she had also exited her eyes, and that the two of us were occupying the same space halfway in between us. And we started to laugh, and the supervisor came over and was going to stop us, and then realized that something really extraordinary was going on, and left us alone. And we laughed for a half an hour, 45 minutes, something like that. enjoying this amazing sensation in our bodies and this feeling of having a mutual out-of-body experience. No drugs were involved. And I was so floored by this, and we were both so floored. We got together afterwards and talked about it, and she'd had exactly the same experience. That's how it felt to her as well. And we went to dinner. We thought maybe we'd start dating because this was such a powerful experience that we'd had together. And we had this sort of reincarnation feeling, like this was somebody we'd met in lifetimes ago. Like you get once in a while, like you know somebody even though you haven't ever met before. And so it didn't really go anywhere because we didn't have anything in common except this extraordinary thing. But I wrote this song about it. It's called Lisa's Song. And yeah, please do, yeah. Endlessly, for years. Yes, with her. When we sat down and tried to do it again, we couldn't. We couldn't get out of our heads that way. It was good eye contact, and we felt connected. And I've tried it on purpose with other people too, telling them the story and giving it a shot. No luck. It was a unique experience. I've been a captain on the ocean. I've had a love on every shore. I've rode the ranges of emotion. I never felt like this before. So many times I've played the game now, and I have rolled the losing dice. You dip your toes into the fire, you will burn them once or twice. I've never felt like this before. Imagine my surprise when I found what I found shining there. When I looked into your eyes, and I don't know what you do, girl, and I don't know who you've been. I only know I want to meet you here, so I can feel this way again. I want to feel this way again. There's been so many times I've lived for you, and so many times I've died. I'm not gonna say how long I looked for you. You wouldn't believe me if I tried. I've never felt like this before. Imagine my surprise when I found what I found shining there. When I looked into your eyes, and I don't know what you do, and I don't know where you've been. I only know I want to meet you here, so I can feel this way again. I want to feel this way again. I want to feel this way again. I want to feel this way. I want to feel this way again. And again and again and again and again and again and again and again. Thank you. A couple more notes on that one. That song changed my guitar playing considerably. When I went to record it, I found I couldn't sing the high notes. I'd always tuned my guitar in standard tuning with E as the lowest note here. And when I sang it on virtual recording, I couldn't hit the highest note in the song that I wanted. So rather than rewrite the melody as I might have done before, I went ahead and tuned my guitar down until I could sing it, and I ended up tuning it down to D standard, which is the same as a regular guitar tuning, but instead of here, it's a whole step down. And I've left it that way ever since. Guitars sound different when they're tuned down. Every heavy metal player knows about that. Hendrix tuned a half step down. A lot of other guitarists tune a half step down, and I like the whole step down the best. So I really enjoyed what I could do with a capo. I could fret the guitar on the second fret with a capo, and then I could also not only capo it up, but I could also capo it down. I could sing I could sing more songs because of doing that. So stayed with that ever since. Yeah. I also want to acknowledge Angelisa Aitken for a line in that song. We rewrote it a bit when we were singing together as the Harmony People, and one of those lines is hers. Yeah, I'm grateful for it. Great, thank you. I can fix that. There's a very easy non-electronic way to deal with that problem. Thanks for the clarity. I love it. I get that feedback at concerts too. When I sing, there's a projection that happens that I don't always think of when I'm speaking. Well, I get to another song that I almost never play in concert anymore, which I kind of miss it. I revisited it for this show, and it's a good song. I used to do this thing when I was a kid. Actually, this was a family thing. My dad, I think, thought of it. We used to have an old Plymouth with a push-button radio, and you'd push the mechanical buttons, and you'd have 5 stations that you could choose from. And when we were on road trips, he would tune the radio to different stations and then punch back and forth real quick between them to see if we could get the newscaster to say funny things. With juxtaposition and accidents. So we had commercials in the news and stuff going back and forth. And gosh, 30 years later, I decided to try that on my car. I had an electronic version of the same thing, and I programmed in some news stations and music stations just as part of my thing, and I decided to try switching back and forth between them. And in one of these moments, there was just a little blip of music, just 2 notes, I think it was, maybe even 1, but just this very brief moment of music before it went to the other channel, and this song started going through my head. It's not a personal story from my own life. It just is a third person, or I'm putting myself in somebody else's place to tell this story. It's called You Don't Want to Lose That Man. I got to tune a little bit, pardon me. That's better. It's very cold here in Denver. We have a little sun today. Some of the snow is melting off. But we aren't getting the same rain that you're getting on the West Coast. Okay, here we go. Wake up in the morning with just one thing on your mind. Take it from me, you don't want to lose that man. And when you come home in the evening, you're gonna wish you could turn back time. Take it from me, you don't want to lose that man. You party all the time, just like I did. Dance with all the guys, just like I did. You know you're pretty hot, but you don't know what you got. You're gonna lose that man, just like I did. I've had some time to do some thinking, just like a lonely woman can. Take it from me, you don't want to lose that man. And if you give me 1 hour with him, you'll never see that man again. Take it from me, you don't want to lose that man. You don't want to lose that man. You're gonna lose that man. All right. Thank you. There's a kind of a turning point in that song. Not too long after I wrote it, I heard an interview with, I read a transcript of an interview with Joni Mitchell. And she was talking about how at one point in her career, the music industry people in her orbit were pressing her to write songs that were more relatable, less personal. She wrote songs that were extremely she held up an uncompromising mirror to herself, all of her faults and craziness, and they thought that she'd sell more records if she backed off from that a little bit. And so in response to that, she resolved to make her songs even more personal. And that shortly after that, she made the record Blue, which is kind of famous as an extremely powerful record. And I really liked that thought, and I had written a lot of songs like this last one that weren't about me. They were stories that I was telling. My model for that was the Beatles. They wrote a lot of songs that were like from some other archetype, or they were telling somebody else's story, and that was kind of legit, and it's still legit. I still write songs like that. But this next song is completely accurate and, again, uncompromising in holding up a mirror to myself. I had a crush on a coworker, a really bad one, not a bad coworker, but a bad crush on a very nice person. And it was quite mutual. It was obvious that we were attracted to each other. And we flirted and talked and became friends for a year or two. And then I asked her if she wanted to go camping with me. I had never been to Big Sur, and I thought it would be really fun to experience that with somebody, and she was the first person I asked, and to my delight, she said yes. And we had a ball. We went up there for 2 days and played cribbage in the tent and went swimming and just had an amazing time. It was really great. But when I got home, I was overwhelmed with the delight and the emotion of having connected further with my longtime crush. And also I could see the cracks in it already. I could see that, this just might not work. There's too many differences between us. And so I had an extremely strong dose of mixed, powerful emotions. And so this song hit me real hard during the week, and I wrote most of it. I didn't finish it up until the next weekend. I got in the car, and I drove all the way to Big Sur and back from San Luis Obispo. So, 3 hours up and 3 hours back. I just spent all day in the car driving that coastline and working on this song until I had it finished. And it's called I Could Fall in Love with You. Sorry about the temperature instability here. My guitar is still warming up from having been in the cold car. All right, there we go. That wasn't so bad. All right, I Could Fall in Love with You. I did not give permission for this thought to cross my mind, for I was married happily, or thought so at the time. I smiled and shook my head and didn't think it anymore. The thought was, there's the girl you came to California for. We must have vowed till death or inconvenience do we part, and now I've got a hole shaped like a woman in my heart. And here it is again, that thought I had so long ago. Was that fate or was it me? This time I need to know. I could fall in love with you so easy and so hard, but I couldn't stand to take a chance I'd ever break your heart. I know there'll be no stopping me if I once let down my guard. I could fall in love with you so easy and so hard. The problem is my heart says you're the perfect love for me. That wouldn't be a problem if my head would just agree. The perfect love forever, I've done that once before. Forever was a dozen years, and perfect 3 or 4. And you deserve a fairy tale, a husband and a home. But castles aren't the only things with walls made out of stone. I've seen your heart get broken several times for one of mine, and I'll be damned if I'm the man who'll be the next in line. I could fall in love with you so easy and so hard, but I couldn't stand to take a chance I'd ever break your heart. I know there'll be no stopping me if I once let down my guard. I could fall in love with you so easy and so hard. It only fuels my indecision that sometimes when we're talking, something happens to your eyes. They grow to fill my field of vision, and I want to crawl inside with you and curl up by the fire. And then I almost blurt out something that I shouldn't say, like, will you marry me? Or something equally insane. Of course I always stop myself. Of course yes, I'm glad I do. Maybe someday I'll get drunk and sing this song for you. I could fall in love with you so easy and so hard, but I couldn't stand to take a chance I'd ever break your heart. I know there'll be no stopping me if I once let down my guard. I could fall in love with you so easy and so hard. Thanks. I most certainly did. About, I don't know, 6 months later or so, I invited her over to my house, and we'd already resolved whether or not we were going to get together. Really, she had. I asked her. I so admire this. I finally really cornered her and said, "Why? Why can't we be an item?" And she said, she looked at me and she said, "Okay." And she gave me a list of about 20 things that were genuinely incompatible between us. It was a very I couldn't believe this list. Well, there's this and this and this and this and this and this. And when she was done, I laughed and I said, how in the world do you have such a complete list? And she looked me in the eye and said straight to my face, "Gary, I've thought about it." And coming from somebody that I was that over the moon for, that was somehow that was a bigger compliment than if she'd said yes. To receive that degree of honesty and to know that she'd thought about it hard enough to come up with that list was an epic moment in my life. And sometime after that, I invited her over and we split a bottle of wine, and I sat down and I sang that song for her, I mean, and she screamed and she jumped into my arms. And we held each other and we cried, and she's now happily married and living in Phoenix, I think, a couple of kids. And that's the story. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm getting adrenaline rushes and goosebumps as I tell that story. It really was a wonderful, powerful experience. I'm really glad to come away with that song. I'm going to check the chat because there's a whole bunch of messages in here, and I'm curious if any of it it needs my. Okay, yeah. Okay, I don't see anything urgent in here, but I will check it out afterwards and make sure that I don't miss anything. And I'll go ahead and enter my PayPal in here in case you'd like to make a donation. My .me is paypal.me/Gary D. Garrett. And I do have a Venmo too, but I won't bother with typing that in right now. Gary D. Garrett is with 2 R's and 2 T's. And there you go, just in case. I'm grateful for contributions. They're very helpful. So, yeah. Any other thoughts before I move on? Okay. Got one more little piece of business I need to do. I usually take a high quality recording, and I'll start that in this moment because I did not start it earlier. So I'll have a lower quality recording on the internet for half of this and a higher quality for the other half. There we go. Thanks for your patience. And now we go back to Zoom. And here we go. Okay, great. Well, that brings us to a song called The Cove, which was the next one I wrote. And this is a love letter to my friends at my favorite nude beach.
There's a beach down in San Luis Obispo County that it's a south-facing beach. It has the warmest climate, the warmest microclimate in the whole area, and it's flanked by two huge headlands of rock, so you can't see the towns on either side. There's civilization all around, but when you're sitting on that beach, there's no evidence that there's any human habitation anywhere nearby, and you're looking straight south, and if you look on a globe from that coastline, it is south-facing, and the next thing is Antarctica. So you're looking at 7,000 miles of open water from that beach. And for me, that whole area is a spiritual experience, and particularly the people that I met at that beach. I went every weekend for a decade or more, and so probably made 600 visits to that place. So my friend Lynn, one of the friends that I made at the beach, we used to play volleyball together, and volleyball is an amazing experience in an environment like that. And she said, I keep thinking about how these people, all these friends of ours, that we gather every weekend, we gather by the edge of the sea, and there's something about gathering at the edge of something that really gives me a picture. She found that idea really evocative. So here's the Cove. There's a place by the ocean, caught between the cliffs and the tide, a narrow sandy slice of the garden with the rocks on either side. Come and meet me by the water. I'll see you at the edge of the sea. Neptune's son and Aphrodite's daughter, for one day we shall be free. You won't need your suit of armor. You may leave it on the sand. Feel the sun upon your body and the breeze upon your skin. Come and meet me by the waters. We'll gather at the edge of the sea. Neptune's sons and Aphrodite's daughters, for one day we shall be free. Come and meet me by the waters. We'll gather at the edge of the sea. Neptune's sons and Aphrodite's daughters, for one day we shall be free. One day we shall be free. Thank you. Can you still hear this one? Okay. When I was a couple of years later, when I was hanging out with one of my other friends from the beach, and he told me a story about having gone out to a bar the previous night. And he was talking to a friend of his. He was with his friend, and he looked across the bar, and there was a woman who really caught his eye. He wanted to go talk to her. He thought, oh, there's somebody I'd be interested in talking to. And the guy said, oh no, I know her. She's crazy. You don't want to talk to her. Never mind. And he said, well, I don't know. Okay, that's what you have to say. I'm going to go talk to her anyway and see what I think. And he went over and he talked to her and we bought her a drink and he chatted for a while. And he was looking in her bright blue eyes and feeling the energy, this tremendous energy that she was giving off. And he, felt off-put by it, like, wow, she really is a strange person. And boy, does she have some vibe about her. He went back to the friend and that was the end of that. But he told me the next day, he said, I was having this moment of looking into those bright blue eyes, and I had the thought, she's a bug zapper. And I I was totally taken by this idea. I thought, oh yeah, that's a song. So I finished out the story with a little bit of different ending and wrote my song, Bug Zapper. So here we go. She's got long black hair and pretty blue eyes. Get a little closer, there's a big surprise. She's a bug zapper. She's a bug zapper. She's a bug zapper, buddy. Don't go towards the light. I saw her at a party, I started to stare. My buddy grabbed my arm and said, I wouldn't go there. She's a bug zapper. She's a bug zapper. She's a bug zapper, buddy. Don't go towards the light. She's a bug zapper, buddy. Don't go towards the light. Ooh, I couldn't stop myself. It was a kind of a trance. I walked across the room and I asked her to dance. 100-volt tingle going through my skin. I can't help it, buddy. I'm going in. Look at the pretty blue light. I told her she was dangerous and bought her a drink. She said, you better kiss me quick before you start to think. She's a bug zapper. She's a bug zapper. She's a bug zapper, buddy. Don't go towards the light. So I went ahead and kissed her and I kissed her again, and every little hair stood up on end. She's a bug zapper. She's a bug zapper. She's a bug zapper, buddy. Don't go towards the light. She's a bug zapper, buddy. Don't go towards the light. Ooh, we suddenly decided we were ready for more. My buddy waited for us. He was blocking the door. He said, you're crazy. I said, you're right. I'm a June bug, and there's a party at the porch light. She's got long black hair and pretty blue eyes. Get a little closer, there's a big surprise. She's a bug zapper. She's a bug zapper. She's a bug zapper, buddy. Don't go towards the light. She's a bug zapper, buddy. Don't go towards the light. Ooh, she's a bug zapper, buddy. Don't go towards the light. Thank you.